Unleash your potential, from the ring to the road to the future.
Silence is a strange thing. Most people are afraid of it. The moment the room becomes quiet, they reach for their phones, scroll through social media, message someone, or search for noise. Because deep down, silence forces them to face themselves. It forces them to look at their dreams, their fears, and the uncomfortable truth about where they are in life. But the people who eventually rise to the top, the ones who build something meaningful, something powerful, they learn how to sit with that silence. They learn how to stay alone. There comes a moment in life when you realize something important. Not everyone around you is meant to go where you're going. Some people are comfortable staying exactly where they are. They are happy with average results, average effort, and average dreams. And there is nothing wrong with that. Unless you are someone who refuses to live an average life. If you want greatness, your path will look different. And that path often gets lonely. The truth that most people don't want to hear is this. Success requires separation, not because you hate people, not because you think you are better than anyone else, but because growth demands focus. And focus demands distance from distractions. Look around at the world today. Everyone is connected. Messages, notifications, group chats, endless scrolling. The world is louder than it has ever been. And yet, real progress still happens in quiet rooms where nobody is watching. Your greatest work will happen when nobody is around to applaud you. When you decide to stay alone for a while, people may not understand. They may say you're acting different. They might say you're too serious, too focused, too distant. They might even think you're being selfish. But what they don't see is the battle happening inside you. Because staying alone doesn't mean life becomes easy. In fact, it becomes harder. When you're alone, there is no one to blame for your failures. There is no crowd to hide in. There is no noise to distract you from your own potential. You face your weaknesses directly. You see your excuses clearly. You realize that if your life is going to change, it's going to change because you decided to change it. And that realization can be uncomfortable. Most people run from that discomfort. They look for constant company, constant entertainment, constant validation. They surround themselves with noise, so they never have to hear their own thoughts. But the person who becomes successful chooses a different path. They step away, not forever, not to isolate themselves from the world permanently, but long enough to build something powerful within themselves. Think about it. Every great achievement starts in isolation. A writer sitting alone with a blank page, an entrepreneur working late nights when everyone else is asleep, an athlete training when there is no audience and no applause. The world celebrates the results, but the results are built in solitude. The truth is, staying alone is not about loneliness. It's about alignment. It's about protecting your energy, your focus, and your vision from the chaos around you. Because when you are surrounded by too many voices, it becomes hard to hear your own. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has advice. Everyone has expectations about what you should do, where you should go, and who you should become. But your life is not meant to be lived according to someone else's expectations. And sometimes the only way to discover who you truly are is to step away from everyone else for a while. When you spend time alone, something powerful begins to happen. You start thinking deeper. You start questioning things you once accepted without thought. You start realizing that many of the limits you believed in were never real limits at all. They were just stories repeated so many times that they started to feel like truth. In solitude, those stories lose their power. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw barriers. You begin to build discipline where there was once distraction. And slowly, day by day, you start becoming someone stronger. But make no mistake, this path is not easy. There will be nights when doubt creeps in. Nights when you wonder if the sacrifice is worth it. Nights when you see others laughing together, enjoying their time, and you feel like you're missing out. Those are the moments that test your commitment. Because success is not just about talent. It's about endurance. It's about having the courage to keep going when the journey feels long and the reward feels far away. It's about believing in your future, even when nobody else can see it yet. And sometimes, belief grows stronger in solitude. When you remove yourself from constant comparison, something interesting happens. You stop measuring your life against everyone else's highlight reel. You stop chasing approval. You stop worrying about fitting in. Instead, you start building something real. You begin creating habits that move your life forward. You wake up earlier. You work longer. You study deeper. You train harder. And because you're not constantly distracted by other people's expectations, your progress begins to accelerate. Slowly, quietly, but powerfully. The world may not notice right away. In fact, for a long time, it may look like nothing is happening. People might even question what you're doing. They might ask why you're working so hard when the results are not visible yet. They might tell you to relax, to slow down, to enjoy life the way everyone else does. But deep down, you understand something they don't. You're not building for today. You're building for the future. And the future belongs to those who are willing to make sacrifices in the present. Every hour you spend improving yourself while others are distracted becomes an investment. Every moment you choose discipline over comfort becomes a brick in the foundation of your success. This is the power of staying alone for a season. You give yourself the space to grow. You give your dreams the attention they deserve. And most importantly, you begin developing the most valuable skill any successful person can have, the ability to rely on yourself. Because at the end of the day, success is not built by crowds. It's built by individuals who have the courage to stand apart, to focus deeply, and to keep moving forward even when the path felt lonely. And if you can master that, if you can learn how to stay alone long enough to become the person your dreams require, then one day, the same people who question your isolation will look at your success and wonder how you did it. But by then, you will know the truth. It started the moment you became comfortable walking your path alone. And that is where everything begins. There's a season in life that many people never talk about. A quiet season. A season where the phone stops ringing as much, where the invitations become fewer, and where the nights feel longer than usual. At first, it may feel like something is wrong. It may feel like you're losing connection with the world around you. But sometimes, that season is exactly what you need. Because growth often happens in isolation. When you decide to focus on your goals, your habits begin to change. You wake up earlier while others are still asleep. You spend your time learning, working, training, and building. The things that once entertained you start feeling like distractions. The places you used to go no longer feel aligned with the life you're trying to create. And slowly, the distance between you and your old lifestyle begins to grow. This is where many people turn back. They start feeling uncomfortable with the silence. They miss the constant company, the laughter, the easy distractions. They start questioning whether their ambition is worth the loneliness. But what they don't realize is that this stage is part of the transformation. Every person who achieves something extraordinary goes through a period where their life looks different from everyone around them. While others are relaxing, they're grinding. While others are celebrating small comforts, they are building a bigger future. It's not because they don't enjoy life. It's because they understand timing. There is a time to celebrate, and there is a time to build. There is a time to rest, and there is a time to push yourself beyond limits you never thought possible. Right now, if you're chasing something meaningful, you are in the building phase. And building requires focus. When you stay alone for a while, you remove many of the invisible pressures that come from being around people all the time. You stop trying to impress others. You stop wasting energy proving yourself. Instead, you put that energy into improving yourself. That shift changes everything. Your mind becomes sharper. Your discipline becomes stronger. You begin noticing how much time you used to lose to meaningless conversations, endless scrolling, and activities that added nothing to your future. Now that time belongs to you. You start reading more, thinking more, planning more, working more. And with every focus day, you move a little closer to the person you are meant to become. But here is something important to understand. Being alone does not mean being bitter. It does not mean hating people or cutting everyone out of your life. True growth is not about isolation forever. It is about temporary separation so you can build something valuable inside yourself. Because the truth is, not everyone will understand your journey. Some people will think you've changed too much. Some will believe you've become distant or cold. But the reality is simple. You're evolving. And evolution requires letting go of certain habits, environments, and sometimes even relationships that no longer support your growth. That can be painful. Humans are naturally social. We crave connection, laughter, and belonging. Walking a path that feels different from everyone else can sometimes make you question yourself. But remember this, the life you want is also different from what most people are chasing. Most people want comfort today. You want freedom tomorrow. Most people want easy moments now. You want a powerful future later. And those two paths are not the same. When you stay focused in solitude, something powerful begins forming inside you. Self-respect. You start trusting yourself more because you're keeping the promises you make to yourself. You say you'll wake up early, and you do it. You say you'll work hard, and you follow through. Each small victory builds confidence, and eventually, that confidence becomes unshakable. You realize that you don't need constant approval. You don't need everyone to understand your vision. As long as you believe in what you're building, you can keep moving forward. And the interesting thing about this journey is that one day, things start to change. The same quiet hours you spent working begin producing results. The skills you practice alone start standing out. The discipline you built in silence begins separating you from the crowd. People start noticing. Suddenly, the path that once looked lonely begins to look powerful. But by the time that happens, you've already learned the most important lesson. Success was never about avoiding loneliness. It was about using that time alone to become stronger, smarter, and more focused than ever before. And that transformation is something nobody can take away from you. There will come a moment during your journey when the silence becomes heavy, a moment when the excitement of starting something new fades, and the reality of the grind begins to settle in. This is a stage where many people feel the weight of being alone the most, because in the beginning, motivation is strong. You feel energized by your goals. You imagine the future you want, the success you're chasing, the life you're determined to build. Everything feels possible. But as time passes, the road becomes longer than you expected. Progress is slower than you hoped, and the world around you continues moving as if nothing has changed. Friends are still hanging out. People are still enjoying their time. Social media is full of celebrations, vacations, and moments that look exciting. Meanwhile, you are in your room, at your desk, in the gym, or at work, doing the same disciplined actions again and again, day after day. This is a phase where loneliness tries to convince you to quit. Your mind begins whispering questions. Is this really worth it? Why am I sacrificing so much? Maybe I should just relax like everyone else. These thoughts are normal. Every person chasing something big experiences them. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not talent. It's how they respond to these moments of doubt. The people who eventually win understand something powerful. Loneliness is temporary, but regret can last forever. Imagine looking back at your life 10 years from now and realizing you quit your dream just because the journey felt uncomfortable. Imagine knowing that you had the potential to build something great, but you stopped because the path was lonely. That kind of regret is far more painful than a few years of focused isolation. The truth is, the world rewards people who can stay committed when things become difficult. Anyone can work hard when motivation is high and support is everywhere. But real strength appears when nobody is watching, and the only thing pushing you forward is your own belief. That's why staying alone for a season can be so powerful. It forces you to develop internal strength. Instead of depending on external encouragement, you learn how to motivate yourself. Instead of waiting for someone to push you, you push yourself. Instead of searching for approval, you focus on progress. You become your own source of energy. And that is a rare skill in a world where most people rely on constant validation. Another important thing happens when you spend time alone chasing your goals. You gain clarity. When there are fewer distractions around you, your mind starts becoming sharper. You begin seeing patterns in your life. You understand what works and what doesn't. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. Your priorities become clear. You realize that success is not built through random bursts of effort. It is built through consistent actions repeated every single day. Small improvements, small habits, small wins that stack on top of each other until they create massive results. But none of that happens overnight. In fact, Most of the progress you make during this journey will be invisible at first. While you're learning new skills, improving your mindset, and building discipline, the outside world may see no difference. They might think you're the same person you were before. But inside, everything is changing. Your mindset becomes stronger. Your focus becomes deeper. Your resilience becomes unbreakable. And while others are distracted by short-term pleasures, you're slowly building long-term power. This is the hidden advantage of solitude. You are preparing for opportunities before they arrive. When the right moment finally appears, whether the career breakthrough, a business opportunity, or a chance to show your abilities, you will be ready. Not because you were lucky, but because you spent countless quiet hours preparing. That preparation is what separates dreamers from achievers. Dreamers talk about success. Achievers build it in silence. And one day, something incredible begins to happen. The results that once seemed invisible start becoming visible. The work you put in starts paying off. The discipline you practice begins producing opportunities. Suddenly, the same people who never notice your effort begin noticing your results. But the truth is, those results didn't appear overnight. They were built in the lonely moments. They were built during the nights when you kept working while everyone else slept. They were built during the days when you stayed focused while others were distracted. They were built during the times when doubt tried to stop you, but you refused to quit. And when you realize that you understand something powerful, the time you spent alone was never wasted. It was a training ground that turned you into the person capable of achieving your dreams. At some point in your journey, something begins to shift. Not all at once, not in a dramatic moment where the world suddenly changes overnight, but slowly, quietly, the results of your discipline begin to appear. The long nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the moments of doubt you pushed through, they all start to come together. And one day you realize something powerful. The loneliness that once felt heavy has turned into strength. Because during that time alone, you were not just working toward success. You were transforming yourself. You were building habits that most people never develop. You were training your mind to stay focused when distractions were everywhere. You were proving to yourself that you could keep going even when things felt difficult. That kind of strength cannot be bought. It cannot be given to you by someone else. It can only be built through experience. When you look back, you begin to see that the quiet seasons were actually the most important chapters of your story. Those were the moments where your character was shaped. Those were the days where your discipline grew stronger than your excuses. Most people never experience this transformation because they never allow themselves to go through the uncomfortable stage. The moment life becomes lonely or difficult, they run back to comfort. They return to the distractions that feel good in the moment but steal their future. But you chose a different path. You stayed focused. You stayed patient. You stayed committed to a vision that only you could see. And because of that, you became someone different. The truth is, success is not just about money, fame, or recognition. Those things may come later. But the real victory happens much earlier. The real victory is becoming the type of person who can create success whenever they decide to. When you develop discipline, focus, and resilience, you carry those qualities with you for the rest of your life. No matter what challenges appear, you know that you have the ability to face them. That confidence changes everything. Now, when you enter a room, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself. You no longer chase validation or approval. You understand your worth because you've seen what you're capable of building. And the interesting part is this. Once you become successful, the loneliness disappears. Suddenly, people are curious about your journey. They want to know how you did it. They ask about your habits, your mindset, your strategy. Some will admire your discipline. Others will wish they had made the same sacrifices. But what they don't always see is the full picture. They see the success. They don't see the silent battles. They don't see the nights when you felt exhausted, but kept going anyway. They don't see the moments when doubt tried to creep into your mind. They don't see the days when progress felt slow and invisible. Those moments belong to you. They are the hidden chapters that built your strength. And that is why staying alone for a season is not something to fear. It is something to respect, because those quiet years can shape a person into someone extraordinary. However, There is one final lesson to remember. Staying alone until you become successful does not mean you stay alone forever. The goal is not permanent isolation. The goal is transformation. Once you have built the discipline, the mindset, and the life you work so hard for, you can reconnect with the world from a position of strength. You can build meaningful relationships. You can inspire others. You can help people who are walking the same difficult path you once walked. Because now you understand the journey. You understand what it feels like to sacrifice comfort for growth. You understand the courage it takes to chase a vision when nobody else believes in it. You understand the power of patience and consistency. And most importantly, you understand yourself. That self-awareness becomes your greatest advantage. So if you are in a season of life where things feel quiet, where the road feels lonely, where it seems like nobody else truly understands the mission you are on, do not see it as a setback. See it as preparation. See it as a chapter where your future is being built piece by piece. Because one day, the discipline you are practicing today will turn into success everyone else notices tomorrow. One day, the silence you are experiencing now will become the story people admire. And when that day comes, you will know something that many people never realize. Greatness is not created in crowds. It is created in the quiet moments when a person decides to stay focused, stay patient, and keep working, even when they have to walk the path alone. Stay committed to your vision. Stay loyal to your goals. And if necessary, stay alone long enough to become the person your dreams require.